This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we turn now to this piece by BBC investigative journalist Greg Palast for Democracy Now!
Flying past the snow-capped volcanoes of the Andes into the Amazon rainforest for the Rumble in the Jungle, the biggest environmental slugfest in world history. This is the battleground, the rainforest of Ecuador, as large as England, where the Amazon's waters begin their 4,000-mile journey to the ocean. To find Chevron's opponents, you need to take a little boat ride. Deep in the rainforest are the Kofan Indians. No one knows how many thousands of years they've been here, living off what they could hunt, fish, and craft from the river and jungle.
We use this to carry yuca, banana, corn, and little animals we hunt. In the old days, we hunted with blowpipes. Now I have a shotgun.
Their main meal used to be monkey, but today's menu is chicken. In 1972, a helicopter landed and everything changed. Chief Emergildo Criollo says the oil company obtained permission to drill from the Kofan, speaking in Spanish, which the Indians didn't understand.
They give us candy, sugar, diesel fuel, and cheese. The cheese smelled funny. We threw it into the jungle. They say we could rub oil on our skin to cure aches and pains.
Oh, so they told you that if you put oil on your skin, it would make you better?
Sí, eso dijo, sí.
Speaking in Kofan, Cecilia Kenama said she lost a daughter to the pollution. I asked her why she blamed the oil companies.
Many children have died of strange new diseases only since the drilling began.
I lost 2 sons. My 3-year-old went swimming and began to vomit blood.
The Kofan say the damage to their health was caused by Chevron Texaco. Chevron says that's nonsense. Let's go find out. Ooh. This pit is the result of an accidental puncture to a wellhead. Now, Texaco said that when it was operating these wells, you didn't have many of these accidents. But that's maybe because of this. It says personal and confidential. It says reports are to be removed from the field division offices and destroyed. Like that. If you were here with me, you could smell it. Yum. The Kofan say this is standard operating procedure. They drink this stuff. They swim in it. And they breathe it. In Texas, they call this sky dumping. That's not Chevron smoke. It's Ecuador's own state oil company, Petroecuador. Chevron's long gone. I can't show you all the leaking pits. There are over 200 on the lands of the Indians and settlers. Like this one. Most people would be thrilled to find oil on their property, but not Manuel Salinas. All he's got out of it, he says, is an empty oil drum, pustules all over his arms, and a stomach ailment slowly eating him alive.
I suffered these terrible, terrible rashes. It feels like my head is splitting apart.
And it's back over the Andes volcanoes, to the other side of the mountain, for the other side of the story. Now it's Chevron's turn. Satanic polluter or innocent victim? Let's ask him.
Scientifically, has nobody proved that crude causes cancer. Okay?
I asked Chevron's lawyers about the rising number of cancers among Indian children.
Did they show you a medical certificate?
No.
And it's the only case of cancer in the world? How many cases of children with cancer you have in the States, in Europe, in Quito? If there is somebody with cancer there, first they have to prove that it's caused by crude or by petroleum industry. And second, they have to prove that it is our crude, which is absolutely impossible.
So the Indians are attempting to do the impossible. They've put on war paint and feathers, and heavily armed with lawyers, they are filing a new lawsuit. They are demanding no less than $12 billion from Chevron Texaco to clean up their forest. A bunch of natives in feathers in the jungle demanding $12 billion from an international oil company would be just a sad joke. But across the Andes, in Ecuador's capital, something happened which changed everything. An uprising of indigenous tribes and urban poor, when I was here 2 years ago, forced the president to flee out the back door of the presidential palace. In new elections, the left whips George Bush's allies with the campaign theme song, the 1980s Twisted Sister hit, "We're Not Gonna Take It Anymore." The new government kicked out the last of the big U.S. oil companies, Occidental Petroleum, and just this month, Ecuador's new president, Rafael Correa, flew to Saudi Arabia to rejoin the OPEC cartel and told George Bush to shut down the U.S. military base in Ecuador unless Bush gave Ecuador a base in Florida. Behind little Ecuador is big Venezuela, and its larger-than-life leader, Hugo Chavez.
Buenos días a toda Venezuela.
Chavez has given Ecuador $250 million and the political weapons to stand up to George Bush. But Chevron has a few friends in Washington. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice served on Chevron's corporate board for 10 years and is the only member of George Bush's cabinet who can carry 30 million gallons of crude oil. Chevron named a supertanker after her. Now, Chavez stands with Ecuador's leaders, and Ecuador's leaders are standing with those suing Chevron. We caught up with the man who designed the new alliance with Hugo Chavez, the powerful incoming president of the Constitutional Assembly, Alberto Acosta. And he's architect of the plan to return Ecuador to OPEC and take down the U.S. oil companies like Chevron. Assembly President Alberto Acosta. I asked him about Chevron's treatment of the Indians.
Chevron is responsible for the environmental and social destruction in the Amazon, and that's why they're on trial.
What if every small nation on the planet sued big oil companies, big U.S. oil companies, for damage created years ago? Wouldn't that bring the entire worldwide oil industry to a stop?
What we should ask is not whether that will create chaos in the oil industry, but whether the oil industry is creating chaos in the world.
What about his new alliance with Hugo Chavez?
We don't have an imperialist relationship with Venezuela. We're brother countries building a whole new Latin America.
The conflict between Indians and Chevron is becoming a battlefield in the war between Bush and Chavez. Not everyone's happy about the new oil order. One dissenter asked us to meet him at the Hotel Quito.
Si tú me miras, si tú...
Salud. Salud. Salud.
This drink is called the Spirit of Ecuador.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Fabian Losa is relaxing after a long day as Ecuador's top television newscaster. Do you think Acosta's demands on Chevron and the oil companies are demagoguery, are just
no? I think it's more dangerous. I think Acosta hates the United States, hates Occidental. He loves socialists. He loves Chavez. He loves Cuba. He don't like a petroleum company. You know, Acosta is very, very left. And he is the new president of Assembly.
He raises questions about the environmentalists suing Chevron.
Environment activists people are communists in the past. Now they are over green but red down, like a sandia. What's the meaning in English, Fred?
Right, like a watermelon.
Red. Yeah, watermelon.
Green on the outside, red on the inside. As we left, the oil minister of the old regime waved goodbye, and I headed off to the jungle to meet one of these so-called watermelons. This is the COFAN's lawyer for their last filing, 27-year-old Julio Prieto. He describes the difference between his legal team and Chevron Texaco's.
Here come us, in one yellow cap, 2 lawyers and one technician. Here they come, Texaco's convoy, with 10 big white trucks, and I don't know, at least 4 of them are full of bodyguards, well-armed bodyguards, because they still thinking that we're dangerous around here.
I asked him why he's not suing Ecuador's own oil company.
Isn't it easy to blame the big rich gringos who left the country 15 years ago, and it's a mess right now?
I mean, Petroecuador has done bad. Now we are thinking about suing Petroecuador too, but that's not an excuse for Texaco to go away.
And that really burns up the lawyers for the American companies.
Yeah.
So they're looking for deep pockets. Simply as that. That's all what they want.
They're just going after rich gringos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the largest fraud in the history.
Is Chevron Texaco just an easy target for lawyers backed by the new oil-charged politicians of South America? Or is the new oil order a chance for long-delayed justice for long-ignored natives? And what happens to this jungle and the COFAN when Ecuador's own oil company begins new drilling? Chevron versus rainforest Indians, or Bush versus Chavez, whatever you call it, it's just another front in the war over that dark commodity that's left half the world in flames. For Democracy Now!, this is Greg Palast.